God doesn't rejoice in the destruction of the living. God made all things that they might have being, that they might exist and be seen and valued. And the creatures of the world are wholesome. There is not a destructive poison among them, for justice is undying. Justice is undying. Justice is immortal. So says the wisdom of Solomon, our first reading today. This is a Jewish writing that must have been in Jesus's spiritual DNA. Justice is immortal. And it's in ours too, because we are the body of Christ. Justice is immortal. The women in today's gospel cry out for this immortal justice promised to them by ancient wisdom from of old. But the world they inhabited and the world we inhabit was and is under other powers besides the wisdom of old. The world of the ancient Near East followed this strict honor code based on class and gender and health. I say ancient Near East because this is not a strictly Jewish problem. I don't want to make this that. This is an ancient Near East problem, prevalent, that the world was based on this honor code of class, gender, and health. Class. The poor were in the untenable position of needing to actively compete for justice, often at the expense of their neighbors and friends, and that is why the crowd pressed upon them like they were at Philene's basement. They pressed for every morsel that they could, as they did in all the rest of their life. It was a social contest that went nowhere. The honor code was based on gender. Only men could speak for themselves in the ancient Near East. Jairus has the agency to beg on behalf of his daughter, but the woman does not. Only the men in this story have names: Jairus, Jesus, Peter, James, John. The little girl, her mother, the woman are nameless. The honor code is based on health. Those who have an illness or a disability are nameless, like the women, and they are dishonored. But they are not label-less. Indeed, they carry a label that denied them access to so much: community, family life, celebration, affection, livelihood. They were labeled unclean, untouchable. This squandering of money for useless medical care was a big problem for the poor. Not only did the woman with the hemorrhage suffer greatly at the hands of many doctors, but she spent all she had and gained nothing. But neither the woman nor the little girl, for any of these reasons, none of them were untouchable in Jesus's eyes. In his spiritual DNA, Jesus knows that God made them that they might exist and be seen and valued and touched. And so Jesus touches them, and he gives them both a new label, which is daughter. And in so doing, he says that their exclusion has been overcome, and he tells these newly named daughters, go in peace and know that you are saved. Healing stories in the Bible can be so problematic because we all know that not every prayed for cure actually happens. But in this case, the saving, the salvation that happens is within human power because it's about how we treat one another. It's about overturning the systemic isms that are still in place today, We're called to manifest God's vision of a world where all creatures are seen as wholesome, and in so doing, to see as God sees. We all know the people who are shunted and shunned today because of who they are, excluded from the fullness of life. In this month of Pride, the month of June, we're called to link arms with our siblings who are LGBTQ and considered unclean by so many, especially Christians. God forgive us. And hear the words of Jesus in the gospel today. I say to you, arise. In the month of Juneteenth, we're called to link arms with our Black siblings who are excluded, endangered, imprisoned, dishonored by so many because of their skin, especially in this country. And we hear the words of Jesus, I say to you, arise. We're called to link arms with daughters and women around the world who are denied equal pay and equal access to the altar in our very own church, and for no other reason than because of their flow of blood. We are called to hear the words of Jesus, I say to you, arise. And the disabled who have worked so hard and so successfully for accessibility to buildings, sidewalks, employment, and still must fight for all of that. We are called to link arms with them and hear the words of Jesus, I say to you, arise. Jesus feels their touch. Jesus feels their faith and touches them with God's love. God's justice is immortal.